Hello, today we're going to see whether wine and Vegemite works. I'm Trent.
And I'm Jason, and we're two guys on an unfiltered and unapologetically unprofessional wine journey. And our slogan here is drink more, try more, learn more. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So this week, I've been thinking a fair bit about wine and the barriers to wine.
Yeah. What barriers?
The barriers, I think, one of the key ones is language. Mm-hmm. I think with the variety of descriptors out there, it just makes it really confusing.
Yes.
And then if you're hanging out with mates, drinking some wine, and someone throws out dusty tannins and you don't get it, you just feel a bit excluded.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'll want to run away and just go back to beer. Well, life's simpler.
It's like the technical jargon that some people use in the IT field. Like they start to throw it out just to kind of prove that they kind of know it, but actually they don't actually know it.
That's right. And it's confusing. Yeah. And then because you don't know it, you're like, maybe I shouldn't be into this. Yeah. So I've been thinking about how can we simplify this?
Yeah.
And we were having a chat via WhatsApp the other day and I gave you a thumbs up and I thought emojis, that's the way to go.
Yes.
Let's simplify the wine language and descriptors by using some emojis.
Are you a emoji user?
I'm a heavy emoji user, and the reason I've been thinking about it is you'll probably see it in my chat responses to you. I don't even say words anymore. Everything I give a thumbs up. Yeah. Thumbs up means good. Thumbs up means I agree. Yeah. Thumbs up means let's do it.
Yeah.
It really simplifies things. You don't need to say specific words.
Yeah.
Are you an emoji user?
I do. I think especially for the brevity of it in terms of like even at work, it's just like they say something, it could be like a whole paragraph, then just go thumbs up. That's right.
Yeah. But at the workplace, it's taken over. Yeah. Lots of people doing love hearts, applause, and thumbs up.
But I'm also sometimes unsure whether they actually understand the thumbs up. I go thumbs up, approved, or thumbs up, all good to go. Just to make sure they understood the thumbs up is in like thumbs up I acknowledge or understand what you meant, but does that actually mean that, I approve of something or have a decision on something?
But in most cases, it should make it easier, right?
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about what emojis we could use for descriptors, and I wanted to trial it out with you and get your thoughts. I've picked up 3 descriptors.
Oh, I thought you did some emoji faces for me. What is
Very hard to do. I've picked out 3 descriptors, and then I've also chosen 3 emojis. Okay. And I want to hear if you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, as in it's right. So let me try the first one. And these are descriptors we've actually used quite often in our wine journey. So the first one is lifted. Yeah. And let me give you a few definitions. So Jancis Robinson says, wine with perceptible but not excessive levels of volatility. And then Young Gun of Wine says, a wine that is particularly aromatic and pungent. Lifted aromas of passion fruit and cut grass go some way to not just describe the flavors, but also their intensity. Lots of words there. And in some ways, one's talking about volatility. Yeah. The other one's talking about intensity. Right?
Yeah.
Let's make it simpler.
Yeah.
Why don't we just choose the mind blown emoji, right? Yeah. Mind blown, it's refreshing. It's got a level of intensity. I'll put this on the screen, but can you relate to that? And can you go, that wine is lifted if I see that? What do you think?
I think it works, but then one could also be mind blown and not be lifted as well, though, right? That's the thing.
Which is kind of like your thumbs up statement,
thumbs up statement. They can also be interpreted in different ways.
But instead of saying excessive levels of volatility, just give it a mind blown. Yeah, it's an easy discussion. And maybe around a group of mates that maybe aren't that into their wine or don't know the descriptors, just they can relate, right?
Yeah, they talk about that kind of kiss rule, right? Kind of keep it simple, stupid, right? So maybe we should just, keep it to a few different emojis, and then we have a kind of description of what that actually means, and then we just keep on reusing it, and then that will become a bit more of the general language going forward.
Could be work.
The other one is also this one.
Yes. What is that? Are you hungry? The surprise look. And maybe that's one of these ones. Let me give you another descriptor. Surrounded. Yeah. Jancis says, good body and not too much tannin. Mm. Wine Cellar says, round wines feel opulent in your mouth. Mm. The trait comes from low acid wines and wines produced from fruit when the tannins are allowed to fully ripen. Very long sentence. Oh, so complicated. So I thought, let's simplify it. If you have a wine that's rounded, let's use this one, which is the baby milk bottle, right? The concept behind it is milk is creamy and it's quite smooth. Baby milk bottle. Don't worry about rounded. Just imagine you're sucking on a baby milk bottle and it'll be all right. What do you reckon?
I think you're pushing it there.
No, I
you're
could see it in your face. You weren't sold.
I thought it'd be more of a, I don't know, rounded emoji. I don't know if there's one.
Yeah, I'm thinking that big guy from The Simpsons would have been a good one. Maybe that's one. But it doesn't describe that feeling in the mouth, opulence.
Yeah.
I got one more. Let's see if this works. Flinty. Wine enthusiast says flinty is found in dry, crisp, acidic white wines and has a minerally taste impression. The aroma would be like striking a flint or a match against hard metal. So think smoky.
Yeah.
And another one, tasting, says beverages with hard or stir, dry and crisp or sharp mouthfeel, sometimes with a hint of smoke. So pretty obvious there. There's some smoky element to it. And I didn't know that, to be honest. I've heard the term flinty before. Yeah. I really didn't know what it was about.
Camping all the time and...
No, I never. No, glamping? Not even that. In a cabin, I'll do that. So I thought, bit of smoke. Let's use this one, dynamite, with a wick, and the wick is burning. To give it a bit of a smoke feel, you can kind of smell the burning wick, and that's the hint of flintiness.
6 out of 10 corkscrews.
6 out of 10 corkscrews. I don't know if I sold you.
I could imagine, like, if it's a bad wine. I know you thought descriptors a bad wine, you use the dog poo emoji.
Yes.
Or it's a good wine, you have the emoji with the stars.
Yes.
In the eyes.
Makes it a lot easier. Yeah. Let's not use fancy words and long sentences. Just an emoji.
Exactly.
So do you think there's a world out there where we can get people more into wine, breaking down those language barriers by using emojis?
I reckon I can. The new rating system, forget the 20-point or the 100-point system. It's just emoji system.
Yeah, baby milk bottle. That's the way to go.
Keep trying.
So I'm interested with the community. Let us know your thoughts. I do think there's an opportunity to simplify things, break down those language barriers. Let us know if you think emojis are the way to go.
Okay.
What were your thoughts of the week, Trent?
So my thought of the week kind of ties in with today's episode around Vegemite. And you know what Vegemite's made out of?
I don't know what is it made out of?
It's made out of yeast.
Oh.
We'll get into that a bit further on. But as we know, yeast is also used in wine as well. And it's really what kind of creates wine as the end product. It transfers the sugars into alcohol, and alcohol then that is the wine that we have. But specifically what I was trying to unpack for this week was around wild yeast. We hear it a lot, more so recently. Yeah. So it's time to understand what's the difference between wild yeast and why do we always have to kind of talk about it. So there's really 2 types of yeast. One is wild yeast, but here's to the point about all these different languages. It's always called wild yeast. It's also called native yeast. It's called indigenous yeast as well. Yeah. All the same thing. And the other one is cultivated yeast. Okay, cultivated yeast is, as the word suggests, it's created, it's a bit more controlled, it's a bit more predictable and easier for the winemaker. So you know when it's going to ferment, how it's going to ferment, etc. So it's much easier to control. Yeah. Whereas with wild yeast, as the name suggests, it's up to Mother Nature. It's basically fermentation driven from the native yeast from around the fruit in the vineyard. So just for perspective, within a single wine grape, it has 50,000 yeast particles. And you have to wait for that to, create that fermentation process, as we know. But then that could also mean that could take 3 days, could take 7 days as well. Yeah. And the problem with that one is that the longer you leave it, it becomes less predictable and also can, input some of the undesirable flavors around, volatile acidity or Brett, which we talked about in a previous episode. So you got to learn about, yes, there is something about wild yeast, but there's also the risks around with it. So why are winemakers using more and more wild yeast? So it does create, one, it's a bit more of an honest reflection of the environment because it is taken from the fruit and the area and the environment around the vineyard. So it's a bit more of a better representation of that space, and also produces different aromas and textures that add to the wine as well. So the different aromas are Parmesan, cheese, yogurt, creme fraiche, dill, beer, sourdough, buttermilk, meringue, sauerkraut, soy sauce, dried leaves, bay leaves. So all these different types of complexity, it adds onto the wine as well.
So that doesn't come with Cultivated yeast?
Yeah.
It does come with it, or it doesn't?
Does, but I think it's more of a neutral flavor.
Yeah, okay.
So when you want to have a bit more expression of the fruit itself, they tend to use a bit more of the cultivated yeast or the wild yeast, a bit more wild, as it suggests, a bit more funky as well.
Got it.
In terms of the differences between wild and rosé wines and red wines, in terms of how the wild yeast interacts with it and creates the differences, with white and rosé wines, it adds a bit more texture and smoothness. So creamy, oily textures, also softer and smoother and less zippy acidity. With the red wines, funkiness, complexity. Also have the term used gym shoe as well. So I don't know whether that's a good or bad thing. But
yeah, it sounds like Brett stuff again.
Yeah, Brett stuff again. So that's what it does to wines. It does make it a bit more interesting, but, up to your own personal preferences or whether you like it or not. So hopefully that explains a bit about wild yeast.
That explains a lot. I always thought wild yeast was something else that you'd pick up from the ground and it'd be in nature. I didn't know it was in the grapes itself already.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's lots of bacteria and yeast on you.
So I taste like beer. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe if you sat within some grapes, maybe. So on to today's episode, and we have this jar in front of us, and it is a jar of Vegemite. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on Vegemite?
Vegemite's interesting because as a child, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was this weird, very dark flavor. It tried to look like Nutella, but it wasn't sweet. But the only time I got into it was when I started in the workforce.
Yeah.
And in the workforce, someone introduced me to butter Vegemite honey on Turkish toast. And it was this great, sweet, salty, creamy combination that I have every day, and it added to my chunkadunka at the time. But yeah, really late, very late in my journey did I appreciate Vegemite.
Yeah, for me, it's something definitely iconically Australian. And growing up, my one was just butter and Vegemite on toast, not on this fancy Turkish bread as we have here today. Yeah. Or on the different crackers with the little holes in it. Yeah. So the butter and the Vegemite, and you press it together, and it's like these little worms kind of coming out of it. And that's my memory of Vegemite.
Is it Australian? Well, because Marmite, right? I've always seen this in the UK.
Yeah.
Isn't that? I thought that started it.
Well, I'll get to that a bit later.
Oh, you're covering it. All right.
I'll cover that. So Vegemite is what they call brewer's yeast, and they basically found it as a byproduct of creating beer. It's this product at the bottom of the barrel after beer is made, and it's the leftover yeast, and then that is what Vegemite is. It has that salty, bitter, umami flavor that you kind of talk about, but it's also very dividing in terms of people will like it or don't like it. I like it. You didn't like it before, but now you kind of like it. You ask maybe people outside of Australia, I'm sure that a lot of people don't like it. Yeah, very polarizing. But just some fun facts on it. One, it's not Australian, it's actually American.
Oh, American, okay.
It was a wartime substitute for Marmite when they actually ran out of the products to make Marmite. Its name was picked out of a hat in a competition. It gained momentum as a health product. Would have seen the high concentration of B vitamins, so it's actually a good thing for you. And that's why it was a staple of part of the soldiers' rations as well, because it's a good product. It's probably preserves and can last a long time as well. The formula is also kept secret, much like the KFC secret herbs and spices.
Right.
So if you really want to recreate it, it's probably difficult. And I love the song as well. Do you remember the song?
Happy Little Vegemites.
Yeah, can you sing it for me?
I just know Happy Little Vegemites. Kick it off and I'll join you.
As bright can be.
Yeah.
We're Happy Little Vegemites for breakfast, lunch and tea.
Yes. Yeah. It's not one of my top 40 songs that I listen to, so forgive me if I didn't remember.
Yeah, so that's a bit about Vegemite. I guess today the challenge that we put forward is around pairing wines with Vegemite. Yeah. So Vegemite being a breakfast meal, what have you gone with?
Yeah, so what I've gone with is a rosé, and specifically it's this Chalmers Rosato 2021 from Heathcote. And my theory around why this will pair well is, you said it yourself, Vegemite is intense. It's salty, it's savory, it's got a lot of umami. My theory is that this rosé has got a fair bit of acidity, so it should cleanse the palate. It's also got a bit of body to it, so I'm imagining it acting like the butter that you put on, the creaminess from that. And then the subtle fruits should kind of balance out that saltiness. And this one in particular is interesting because it's got a lot of minerality, so maybe it complements the saltiness.
Why did you pick this one in particular, Heathcote?
Oh, I've never had one from Heathcote, and there were a few different rosés available. I'm trying to remember. There was a site that I'd seen which had just recommended rosés to have, and this one stood out.
Just taking in a bit of the Vegemite and the Rosato. Look, it doesn't clash, but it also doesn't lift each one either. So I don't know. For me, the wine itself is it's a bit of a medium-bodied kind of wine. It seems a bit more simple type of wine, off dry, bit of fruit, and then that kind of pink grapefruit coming through. I think it's okay, but for me, it's not a winner.
Yeah, I was hoping for a bit more of a cleansing palate, and it didn't exactly do that. That Vegemite is a really intense flavor. It's hard to wash that out.
Yeah.
And also the way that it's been spread here, there's a bit of debate as to how much you put on. This is a thick slab. I'm used to the white, a bit of a lighter touch on it, but it really brings out those flavors. But yeah, it wasn't as cleansing as I was hoping. I do think the saltiness and minerality of this rosé does work with the Vegemite, but it doesn't do too much. In terms of a Corkscrew rating, I think the wine is nice. I'd probably give this pairing a 6, maybe 5 out of 10. Probably a 6. I'm not hating it. It's just not doing too much for it.
Yeah, 6 out of 10. Like just having another bite again. Again, maybe it's that overly slathered type of Vegemite. It kind of overpowers the Rosato, quite significantly. Just talking about like Vegemite toast as well. The other thing I noticed as well is you go to a cafe and they charge like $8 for Vegemite toast. Isn't that crazy?
It's the way they spread it. It's got to be fancy.
So you said it didn't refresh well enough. I know something that would probably be a bit more refreshing.
Yes.
And what do you think of when you think about refreshing?
I think of champagne. That's what I think of.
I think about bubbles.
Yeah.
And the one that I went for today is this one, the Nyetimber, or people call it the Nyetimber. It's a UK sparkling wine. And the reason why I went for this one is my research was on this website called Pedestrian TV. And
that's a great site.
I don't know.
Just strangers walking by, is that what it is?
It was the first website that came up.
Yeah.
And they had a sommelier there, and they kind of talked about, what should we pair Vegemite to? So I kind of took inspiration of that one. The one that he kind of talked about was champagne. Champagne because of two things, the bubbles, the freshness, and it's also just a great kind of breakfast wine as well.
Yeah.
To kind of cleanse through. So I took it a bit further. So instead of champagne, I looked at English sparkling. And the reason why I look at English sparkling, because it's becoming more and more popular, probably because the quality is also getting a lot better as well. I did kind of do a bit of research into it and talked about the reason why maybe some of the quality is going a bit better is because of climate change.
Yeah.
And that the southern parts of England is making it a bit more better in terms of the weather to grow the grapes, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Pinot Meunier.
So it's cooler in the southern parts of England, is that what it is?
It was too cool before, and now it's getting slightly warmer.
Okay. Yeah. Whoa,
and
live pop.
Live pop.
Look at that beautiful smoke coming through. So I actually haven't heard of English sparkling. So when you're saying it's a popular thing, is this in discussion? Are you seeing it on your social feeds? Is there a lot of community discussion about English sparkling?
There is. So through my research, looking at this Nyetimber, I went to another kind of really good YouTube channel, Constantine Baum.
Oh yeah,
that did a kind of blind tasting between English sparkling and also French champagne. And they had other ones in there, like the French ones, Paul Roger, Tatinka.
Yep.
And they also had this one, the Nyetimber and the Nyetimber. And this actually came out on top. Again, it's up to personal preferences. He gave it 92 out of 100. Yeah. So I was keen to kind of try how good this one is, and in particular how good this is with Vegemite toast. So again, it's a classic varietal in terms of champagne style, Cred method champagne. Again, second fermentation bottle with Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier. The split 50-60% Chardonnay, 30-40% Pinot Noir, and 10-20% Pinot Meunier. So have a try of it. What do you think?
It was really interesting because the moment you popped it open, I had a whiff. And the effervescence bubbles were so strong they attacked my nose. I couldn't handle it. But The yeastiness and the biscuitiness, I think is there, but it's a bit more subtle than other champagnes that I've had.
Yeah, it's more fresher. It's not a kind of aged one. It's a bit more, still has a bit of that kind of toastiness to it, but it's a bit more of a fresher style of wine. I know, yeah, kind of peaches.
The acidity and the dryness, you can really pick that out, and it should be quite refreshing.
Yeah.
So let's see how it goes with the Vegemite. And even though this is a thick slab, I think this will work because of that acidity.
So it says that it should have some toastiness, spiciness, complexity, honey, almond, pastry, baked apple. I don't pick up all of those, but it just says also a fine and elegant wine. And I find that that's definitely representative of what this one is, a bit more of an elegant wine.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's not too intense. It's not in your face.
Does it feel like a nice breakfast meal? Sparkling, English, and also Vegemite.
The first thing that hits me is it is quite refreshing. So it's hit the mark on that one, even though there's the intensity from the Vegemite. It's really cleansed the palate. I'm getting quite citrus, kind of lemon grapefruit notes from it.
Yeah, I am. One thing I noticed is that the Vegemite flavor is very, very strong.
That thing doesn't go away, right?
So even with the bubbles and everything trying to cleanse the palate, it's still, I don't know, the Vegemite's still very big.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, like, it's done a great job at cleansing the palate, but the flavors together, I don't necessarily think they mix. I think the intensity of the citrus flavor really stands out, very much in contrast to the saltiness.
Do you think if it wasn't as an elegant type of champagne, also English sparkling, it was more of a champagne style with that brioche style, that would work better?
Yeah, and that kind of harks to, I feel like there needs to be a bit of sweetness into it, and the brioche and the yeastiness would assist with that. I think it could work better, yeah.
I think that's what I need. That's what I'm thinking as well. So I know Corkscrew ratings in terms of pairings.
It's nearly there. So if I gave the rosé a 6, I'd give this a 7. It's not quite lifting it, but it did a better job in terms of refreshing the palate. Yep. What about you?
7 out of 10 for me. So I think it'll work better because I'm thinking about brioche and toast, and that's kind of morning stuff.
Yes.
It might go well with it. This one's a bit more refreshing on the beach, enjoying the waves crashing in, bit of fish and chips type of thing.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I could imagine that. The fish and chips, something fried, yeah.
But for this one, because of the intensity of the Vegemite, you need a bit more of that intensity as well to kind of help balance it out, or else one gets overwhelmed. So maybe we need a Krug next time.
I think we need to do a champagne episode completely. Try this in there.
Okay, so final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I think we were nearly there. I would say thank you for introducing me to the English sparkling. Never had it before. Quite a beautiful wine. It nearly hit the curb here. I think that the English sparkling did a better job than the rosé. Champagne is the next one to try.
Yeah, for me, what I've kind of taken away from this one is Vegemite is a very overwhelming taste. And you really need something just as powerful, but with elegant and the kind of refreshing acidity to really kind of balance it out.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing to try, but yeah, champagne next.
All right. And so that's the wind up. Thanks for introducing us to this. For everyone out there, give it a go. Have some Vegemite if you haven't had it. It's very good. Let us know the way that you like to blend it on your toast, but also let us know what wine you prefer to have with it. As we like to say here, drink more, try more, learn more. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.